People.
Good to go.
All right. Hey, everyone. So excited to have you guys join us today. Doing great. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes to make sure that everyone can join, and then we're going to get started. Oh, I'm so excited to see all you guys. All right, so while we are waiting for everyone to join, I'm going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me. My name is Ashley, and I'm really excited to have you guys join us today for our Michael's Camp Creativity Online. Before we get into the craft, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. So I work for Michael's. I'm one of their buyers, which means that I get to help choose the product that we bring into our stores. And the two categories that I get to buy are books and candy, which is really fun because those are two of my favorite things. So if you're ever in our stores and you look at our books, or if you want some of our candy, you know that I'm the one that chose that for you guys. So really excited to be here. One of the other reasons that I love working for Michael's is, of course, the arts and crafts. So I'm really excited to be crafting with you today too. It's a fun experience for me. So we're going to wait just a little bit longer. I want to wave hi again to everyone that's joining us. Yes, you can use string instead of yarn. So as we talk through all of the ingredients that we need for today, I'll definitely go through those and give you some alternatives that you can use if you don't have what we have in your house. So there's a lot of different ways that we can do this today. So we can definitely make sure that you guys have what you need. Okay, I see a question about the template. Yes, I think that there should be a link to the template in the Q&A. The template can be found online. It's also something that we will feature here as well so that everyone can see it. And if you're not able, yep, here we go. And if you're not able to access the template today, it's still available tomorrow or any other day so that you can go and download it as well. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So today is Friday, and our theme on Fridays is science. How many of you like science? I can't see your hands, but you can say like, yes, me, I love science. No, no one likes science? I do. So I love science. Science is basically the study of everything. So living things to plants, to animals, to people and rocks and anything that you can think of is all science. And so one of the things that we're going to be learning today is a little bit about computer science. And computers, they talk a different language than us. So they don't say words, and they don't communicate in letters, they communicate in code. And so one of the coding languages that there is binary. Does anyone know what binary code is? If you do, type your answer. I'd love to see it. Okay, so binary is a type of computer language that uses symbols. And it basically uses two different types of symbols. It either uses zeros or it uses ones. Ah, there we go. Yeah, Sean Thompson got it. Way to go. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take our name and we're going to translate it into binary code. And then we're going to use that and make a necklace. So earlier today, I made this one using my favorite colors, green and blue. And this is basically my name, Ashley, spelled out in beads in binary code. So what we're going to do today is do that exact same thing with your name. Or if you want to do someone else's name or just a word like love or happy or anything like that, you can choose a word and we'll write it down and we'll do the code for that word and then we'll make the necklace. All right, so I'm going to kind of walk through all of the different supplies that we need for the craft, And if you have any questions, we can definitely take them during that time as well. And I'll try to give you some alternatives for the ingredients as well. So for today, we are going to need a writing utensil. So I have a pen here. You can also use a crayon or marker or colored pencils, anything like that, just something that you can write with. Additionally, we're going to need some sort of colored markers or pens or something like that. So I'm going to be using these markers today. We really just need 2. So because again, binary uses 0s and 1s, we really only need 2 different types of colors. One to represent the 0s and one to represent the 1s. So again, markers today for me. The other thing that we're going to be using are beads. So I have a pack of multicolored pony beads here. You can use any type of beads though, as long as they kind of fit on the string that you're going to be using. And again, we really are only going to be focusing on 2 different colors, one to represent the 0s and one to represent the 1s. And those should correspond with the colors that you're using as well for your markers. And then we will also need some sort of string or yarn. So I'm using this blue yarn because I love the color blue, but if you don't have yarn, but you have string or twine, I have some twine here as well. Or if you have a shoelace or kind of dental floss, just really anything that you can use to string the beads on that you can then tie and wear as a necklace, and that'll be just fine. All right, we will also be using scissors. So please make sure that you ask an adult before you take scissors and make sure that you have their permission. And if you need an adult, you can definitely ask when we get to the scissors part to help you with those. And then we're also going to be using either like a ruler or a tape measurer. So I don't really have a ruler. I have this very long yardstick. I also have this tape measurer. And if you don't have any of those things, that's fine, because I'm going to show you a trick that you can use instead of one of these as well. So don't worry if you don't have one of those. And then finally, we're going to be using a template. So the template, again, we have the link for it within the Q&A. But basically, this is going to be the sheet that we use to decode our name. So it has all of the letters on the left-hand side, and then what the binary representation is. So again, the 0s and 1s, how we're going to interpret that into the blocks themselves. And then on the right-hand side, we're going to spell out our name, and then we're going to go and make sure that we copy that binary over. And that's what we're going to be using for the beads themselves. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause and see if anyone has any questions that we can help answer. If you need me to go back and read through the supplies again.
Hey, Ashley, reading through the supplies one more time would definitely be useful for everybody.
Perfect, wonderful, happy to do it. All right, so for those of us that joined us maybe a little bit late, I'm going to read through the supplies again that we're going to need, and that way it'll give everyone a chance to either go and grab those supplies or kind of get caught up so that we can start. All right, so supply number 1, we need a writing utensil. This can be a pen, a marker, a crayon, a colored pencil. I'm using a pen, but it can be anything that you need to be able to write your name. Number 2 is going to be some form of markers or colors, colored pencils again, crayons, anything that you have. And really we're going to be using 2 because binary code again is in 0s and 1s. So we only need 2 different types of colors to represent those. That's great. All right, then we're going to be needing beads. So I have these pony beads. I don't know why they're called pony beads. They don't look like horses. They have different colors within them. So I will be picking 2 of the colors to use within this pack, and that's what we're going to be using on the necklace themselves. We also need some form of string. So I will be using this yarn. If you don't have yarn, you can use twine or a shoestring, dental floss, really anything that you have that you can put the bead through like this. So you can get creative on that for sure. You will also need a pair of scissors. And again, if you don't have scissors or if you aren't able to use scissors, please, ask permission from an adult before you use those. We'll also be using a measuring tape or ruler. I have this very fun yardstick. If you don't have one of those, I'm going to show you a shortcut so that you don't need to use those. And it's basically your arm. And then finally, we're going to need the template. The template you can find online. If you are not able to find the template online, I will have mine here for you to take a look at. It basically has all of the different letters with the binary code that represents that letter, and then how we're going to translate that into the beads by using this part of the template over here to write our names and then color it in. And if you don't have any of these materials, or if you're missing some, this is going to be available tomorrow as well, recorded, so that you can rewatch the video. And then the instructions and the template are already on there for you to be able to craft at a different time. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started then. All right, so step number one was to download and print the coding key. If you have multiple people that you are crafting with, so if it's you and your sibling, or you and a friend, or you and a parent, make sure that you have one for each person that you are doing a necklace for. That way, all of you can use the key off to the side. I did one earlier, so just so you can see what it looks like. But this is what we're going to be doing. So my name, again, is Ashley. So I spelled my name along the left-hand side, and then using two colors, I went and looked at each of my letters here, and then colored them in based on the ones and zeros that are represented. So this is what we're going to be doing next. All right. So first, we are going to write our name. The M up here is just to show you kind of what we're doing, but you can sort of ignore that. But next, we're going to write each of our names. There are 14 different slots here for your name. If your name is longer than 14 letters, you can absolutely use a second sheet, or if you need to turn it on the back, you can do that as well. So my name is capital A, and then a lowercase s, and then a lowercase h, and then an L, and then an E, and then a Y. Ashley. I know with the M it looks like my name is Mashley. It isn't, it's just Ashley. All right. I'm going to give everyone just a couple minutes to write your name. All right, guys. Everyone have their name written down? Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick two colors. So you can pick any two colors that you want that matches with the colors of the beads that you have. Earlier today, I made this green and blue one. So I think for this time, I'm going to do red and black. I'm going to take a red marker, and a black marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign which of these colors I want to represent the zeros and which of these colors I want to represent the ones. And sometimes, because I get confused, I like to write it down on a piece of paper. So I'm going to write just a little bit of a cheat sheet for myself up at the top, and I'm going to say, for anything that's a 0, I want it to be red. And then for anything that's a 1, I want it to be black. And that way, as we're working through it, you can remember which one is going to represent the zeros and which one is going to represent the ones. All right, so the next step is really where we get into the binary part of it. So the part that has to do with the coding. So I'm going to take the first letter of my name, which is a capital A, and I'm going to come over to the key and I'm going to find capital A on the key. And lucky for me, it's this top one right here. So then when I take a look, I see a string of 8 numbers, zeros and ones, which in binary code represent the capital letter A. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that sequence over my boxes over here so that it's easy for me to see as we start doing the coloring. So I'm going to do 0, 1, and then a whole lot of zeros, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 1. So that I take a look at that capital A, and I see those, and now I have that written here. All right, now I'm going to do that for the rest of the letters in my name. Some of you, if you have a lot of letters in your name, this may take a little bit longer than others. For those of you that have a short name like Eve, this might not take you very long at all. So we're going to take our time and make sure that everyone has the opportunity to write down their name. If you get finished early and you want to practice some other letters, write someone else's name down or write your middle name. That way we can all get really good practice on translating our name into binary. All right, so next I'm going to do a lowercase s.
Hey, Ashley. While everybody is spelling their name, a couple of people wanted to know if there was something they could use instead of beads, or what happens if they don't have 2 different color beads?
That is a great question. So because binary is really just comparing 2 different things, the only thing that you really need is just 2 different sets of something. So if you don't have beads today and you want to do something else, maybe you could use coins if you have pennies and dimes, or if you have Legos and you have black Legos and red Legos. But basically anything that is going to be representative of zeros or representative of ones. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily be a necklace that you make. If you don't have the materials to make the necklace, you can absolutely do the work here and then go find different materials that represent those zeros and those ones, and you can put them together to create that binary code. Okay, all right, so going back to our S, I'm going to take a look and it is a 0, and then 3 ones, and then 2 zeros, and then 2 ones. All right, and I'm going to do my H. My H is 1 0 and 2 ones, and then a 0, and then a 1, and then zeros. Right? Then I'm going to go and do my L, and I'm going to do a 0 and 2 ones, and then a 0, and then 2 ones, and then 2 zeros. Next, I'm going to do my E, which is a 0, and then 2 ones, and then 2 zeros, and then a 1, and a 0, and a 1, and then last letter, whew, my Y. And it is a 0, and then 4 ones, and then 2 more zeros, and then a 1. All right, so that's my name. I'm going to give everyone just a little bit of time to finish up theirs, and then we're going to move to the colors. Okay, all right, so the next step, which is one of my favorite steps, is getting to color everything in. So again, I wrote up here at the top that my zeros are going to be represented by the color red, and then my ones are going to be represented by the color black. Really, it can be any colors that you want. As I said earlier, I did this earlier with blue and green, which are my favorite colors. You can do pink or purple. You can do orange and yellow. It's really whatever 2 colors you want, so that one of them represents our zeros and one of them represents our ones. All right, now the way that you color this in is really up to you. If you want to do one letter at a time, you are absolutely able to do that. I personally like to do all of my zeros first and then all of my ones first, because that's just easier for me, and then I'm using one color at a time instead of having to switch every other one. So I'm going to start out with all of my zeros. So I'm going to pick my red marker, and basically anywhere that I've put a 0, I'm going to color that in red. 2, 0. And as you're coloring these in, it doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, I'm kind of scribbling a little bit. I'm staying in the lines, but I'm not having to fill it all in. This is basically just a visual reminder for me of which ones are going to represent my zeros, so that when we get to the beads, we know the sequence of beads that we're going to be using. All right, so I've done my A. Now I'm going to color in all of the zeros for my S. And then my H. And then my L. And then my E. And then my Y. Oh, lots of ones there. All right, so now you can see all of my zeros are colored in red. So now I get to go back and color in all of my ones in my other color, which is black. One, One. Oh, this is starting to look really good. One. Oh, lots of ones here. Ooh, my hand's getting tired. All right. So as you can see, I have now taken all of the letters of my name. I have matched them to the different letters on our binary code key. I have written in all the zeros and ones. I have assigned colors to our zeros and ones based on the colors of beads that I want to use. And then I colored in all of my letters so that as we make our necklace, I can easily see the sequence of colors that we're going to be using to correspond with the binary code of my name, Ashley. I'm going to pause again just in case anyone has any other questions. And again, as a reminder, you will have all of this available tomorrow. This video will be available tomorrow to rewatch if you'd like. The template is also available at any time for you to go in and reprint it out. And so you can go and do this whenever you'd like. Okay, so if you're still working on your name, not a problem, keep going. We're going to move on to the next step, but I'm going to work really nice and slow. That way you have plenty of time to catch up. All right, so now that we have our binary code done, we're going to measure out our string. Now, this is the part that I told you earlier, that if you don't have a measuring tape or a ruler or a yardstick, it's not a problem. Because we want to make sure that we have enough string for all of our beads, we want to make sure that it's really nice and long. So if you do have a measuring tape, we're going to try to make it about 18 inches long. So if you want to use one of these or one of these, not a problem. Just make sure that you get it to be about 18 inches. For anyone that doesn't have a ruler or a yardstick or measuring tape, I'm going to show you another little trick. I'm going to take my yarn, and again, if you don't have yarn, you can use string, floss, shoelaces, whatever you have kind of in the house that you can fit the beads on. And I'm going to hold it in one hand, and I'm going to pinch it, and I'm basically going to take it and I'm going to wrap it around my elbow and move it back and pinch it again. I'm going to repeat that one more time. I'm going to hold my yarn. I'm going to take it. I'm going to wrap it around my elbow and I'm going to pinch it here. And again, this is really just in case you don't have a ruler or a yardstick or anything like that. Then I'm going to take my scissors. Again, please make sure you have your parents' permission before using. And I'm going to cut my yarn. All right, so now I have the yarn for my necklace. It looks awesome. One of the things that I'm going to do that I've learned is helpful, especially when we're doing pony beads, is sometimes the yarn has a tendency to fray as you're putting beads on, which makes it a little bit harder to put the beads on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of a knot at the end of the string. And what that's going to do is it's just going to help the yarn from not fraying, but the knot is not big enough to not be able to put the beads on. So it's just this tiny little knot, if you want to take a look, just a tiny little knot. And again, that's going to help it in case these ends start to fray. I can use the knot to poke through the beads. All right, does everyone have their string? Okay, we're going to put this down just for a second. But don't lose it, it's coming back. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out all of the pony beads that I want to use. So the pack of pony beads that I bought has a ton of pony beads mixed up together in a pack. So one thing about beads is that they love to escape and they love to go everywhere. Earlier today, I accidentally spilled them all over the floor. My dog thought they were food. It was a disaster. I had to push him away, pick up beads. It was a mess. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is get a little bit of like of a Tupperware. If you don't have Tupperware, maybe like a little paper plate, just something to put the beads in as we're sorting them out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out my red and black beads, because again, for my necklace, I want to make sure that my zeros are red and my ones are black. So I'm going to start picking these out. You do not have to do this at all if you do not want to. If you want to just pour them out on the table and go to town, you are absolutely welcome to do so. It's up to you. So while I'm doing this, this will give everyone else that's still working on their chart a little bit of extra time in case we have some people that have long, long names. And depending on the length of your name, you may need more beads or less beads. One thing is that if you don't have enough beads of a certain color, it's okay. As long as you have different colored beads that you can say represent the zeros versus the ones, you can absolutely start your name with one set of colors and end your name with a different set of colors. Or if you want to alternate and say every other letter in your name is a different set of colors. Just as long as you have alternating colors to again represent those zeros and ones. All right, I think that looks pretty good for right now. If we need more, we can absolutely get more. All right, so this is the fun part. This is the part where we get to put our beads on our string. And so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to sort of do this over here so you can see. I'm going to hold my string. And basically, I'm going to start again up at my letter A. And what I like to do is I like to pull out my beads first and lay them up so that I can make sure that I am matching the letter that I'm getting ready to put onto my string.
Hey Ashley, before you get started putting the beads on the yarn, could you show everybody how to tie that knot one more time?
Absolutely, yes. All right, I'm going to use a different string that I have that's just a spare one. And knots can be tricky, so if you need a parent or an adult or someone else, an older sibling to help you with this, that's absolutely fine. What I did is I wrapped it around my finger like this, and then I just pulled the other end through like this, and then I pulled it tight. And I'll do that again. So I wrap it around my finger, make a little bit of a loop, put the other end through, and then pull it tight. And again, we don't want to make the knot too big because we want the bead to be able to fit through it. But if you're using yarn, sometimes the end of yarn has a tendency to come apart like this, which can get a little bit frustrating when we're trying to put a number of beads on it. And so what I found is that the knot just helps it hold together enough that we can push it through the bead. And I'll show you, we can push it through the bead and get it through. Sometimes you gotta wiggle it. I also don't have any fingernails, so that doesn't help. There you go, just like that. All right. Okay, so then going back to the one that we did, let's see. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need one more red And every letter should be 8 beads long. So if you lose count, just count real quick how many you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, that matches up to my capital letter A. So this is going to be the first letter that we put onto our string. And I'm just going to go in order. So I'm going to start here. I'm just going to start feeding through my beads.
Hey Ashley, do you mind moving your hands just a little bit more center? We can't quite see
Yeah,
you beading.
not a problem. Let me actually minimize on my screen so I can make sure that you guys can see. How's this? Good?
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So you can already see where my yarn is coming a little bit undone. So if I twist that up a bit, that'll definitely help. And pull that down. Okay, and then black. All right, so we have done the first letter. So if you take a look, I've got all of my zeros and my ones represented by my beads and the different colors. And that is the letter A, the first letter of my name. Okay, now we're going to go on to the next. So again, I'm going to take my beads and I'm going to pull them out and kind of lay them out in the sequence that we need to put them in for our letter. I need 3 blacks. And then 2 reds. And then 2 more blacks. Just a little bit, there we go. All right, so again, just to double check, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that should be my S. So now I'm ready for my S. So if your yarn is kind of like mine, it's sort of doing its own thing down here. So that's where this knot comes in handy, because I can use that knot to push through the bead and then just pull it down. Again, use the knot to push through the bead and pull it down. And if your yarn isn't fraying, well, then you're having a much better time. All right, here we go. Last one. Okay, so here again, now we have my S. So we have my A, now my S. Looking pretty good. Okay, I'm going to move on to my H. 0, 2 ones, 0, 1, 0, 1. Ooh, whoa, it's trying to escape. 2. I told you they're tricky. Go. All right, got them all laid out. Now we're ready to put them on. Okay. So one of the fun things about this craft is that it makes a really great gift. So if you want to do this for your mom or your dad or your grandma or a good friend, like a best friend, this is an awesome way to really personalize a gift. And it's fun because it also adds like a little bit of a secret too, right? Like you know that it says their name, or you can do a word like friend or family. And it becomes a fun little personalized way to communicate with others. All right, there's my H looking good. So I have my A, my S, and my H done. Ash, which is also my nickname. Got 3 more to go for mine. If you have a longer name, no worries, take your time. I'm gonna move on to my L. Right, so I'm gonna put out my beads. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whoops, and 8. Again, just double count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome. 1. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing okay on theirs?
Seems like everybody's having a pretty good time putting their necklaces together.
Love it. I cannot wait to see everyone's. At the end, I'm going to give you a hashtag, and that way, with your parents' permission, you can post this online and hashtag make it at Michael's. And that way, I can see what everyone made. I'm really excited. Okay. So there's my L. And as you're working on these, if you make a mistake, it's not a problem at all. You can absolutely just sort of line this back up onto your sheet, see where the mistake was made, take off the beads that you need to and restring them. And it's not a problem. Okay, going on to my E. 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. On necklace. All right. Make sure I got all of that right. Yep, that one looks good too. Okay, and last one for me. Pull it up. Y. And we were talking about earlier about if you didn't have pony beads, some of the other things that you could use. And I know I said, you know, if you have Legos or blocks or things like that, you can build other things that have binary code in them. I kind of like the idea of using Legos or, you know, building blocks of some sort. I think that would be a pretty cool tower to build. Have it spell your name or something like that. That'd be neat. All right. Last one. Do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. Just double check, make sure. Yep, that was good. All right, so here is my name in binary beads. I really like how the red and the black turned out together. I think that's gonna look really good as a necklace. I don't know which one's my favorite, the green or the blue or the black or the red. I have to wear both. All right, I'm gonna give everyone just a couple of minutes to finish theirs. I'm gonna leave this up just in case you need to reference it at all. We'll give you a little bit more time. If you have any questions, or ask them in the Q&A part, and we'll definitely try to help answer. Again, if you don't have all of the ingredients to do this today, or if you missed a part, this video will be available tomorrow. And then the instruction list and the template and everything is available as well. So you can go back at any time and redo this. Okay. Move that.
Hey, Ashley, some people are also done and they're wondering how should they tie the ends together?
Perfect question. So I will go ahead and we will walk through this now. I'm glad that some people are finished already. They probably had short names while I was working on my long one. So you can do it a couple of different ways. Tying strings together has always been a little bit of a challenge. So if you don't get it right the first time, don't worry about it. That's why we did the necklace as long as we did, so we can have a little bit of string to work with. So I'm going to do it under this camera here, just so you can see it a little bit better. But very similar to how we did the knot on the end of the first string, we're going to take both strings and we're going to wrap them around. And yeah, there we go. All right. So both strings together. We're going to wrap them around your finger, kind of hold it and pinch it. Make a loop like this. And then we're going to wrap the ends around through the loop and pull it so that it'll look like that. I'll do it again for you guys. So you take both ends. You're going to wrap it around a finger like this, not too tight because you want to be able to pull your finger out. When you pull your finger out, there should be a little bit of a loop, and you can take this end, wrap it through, kind of push it like this, and then tie it just like that. So that you have a little bit of string here, you have your knot here, and then you have your necklace down at this end. Now, If you made your necklace too long and you need to cut it, you're absolutely welcome to do so. Maybe you don't like a necklace as long as mine. You want yours a little bit closer in. If that's the case, you can cut it kind of anywhere in here and then just do that same process again, where you take it, wrap it around, push it through, and then pull for your knot. You want to make sure that it's big enough though that it fits over your head, because obviously there isn't an easy way to clasp it like this. So you want to make sure that it fits over your head. So I'm going to leave that right there. Okay. I hope that everyone is still working through theirs. If you need a little bit of extra time, please feel free to take care of that. One of the things that I'm going to be doing right now is kind of picking up some of the pony beads. So if you made a mess, make sure you clean it up. I have my markers that I'm going to put back into my marker box. Make sure the lids are on nice and tight so they don't dry out. I also have a Ziploc baggie. This is really good to put the extra beads back in if you don't have like a little container or something like that. That way they don't spill or get lost or anything like that. And as I said, I'm so excited to see what you guys did. So as soon as you have finished your necklace, make sure that you ask permission and then go online and post it with the hashtag Made It With Michaels. That way we can see what you guys did. And if you want to look at this again, you have the opportunity. It'll be posted tomorrow. Or if you want to show your friends or your grandpa or whomever what you did, we can absolutely have this for you tomorrow as well, or any other time. If this is your first class, we do have other classes that are coming up. We're doing classes every single day for the next couple of weeks, and each day is a different theme. So today was clearly science. We did a lot of really hard science work, so good job, everyone. Other days are going to be differently themed. So next Wednesday, I believe, I'm teaching a class on painted rocks where we get to paint rocks and put googly eyes on them, and it's really fun. I'm also doing a class called All About Me, which is where we get to talk about adjectives and words that describe who we are and do kind of a little bit of a picture about that. And there's tons of other classes to do. So make sure you go online, check out the classes, sign up for them, and have a really great time. Okay, I'm gonna put this one back on.
Could you repeat the hashtag one more time for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely, and I wanna make sure that I'm getting it right. So that hashtag is hashtag Make It With Michaels, all one word. So Make It With Michaels. And I'll be posting mine too. So you can look out for mine. You can see my cool necklace and then my other cool necklace. I might wear this one as a bracelet. I might wrap it around, wear it as a bracelet. I think that's pretty neat. Okay. Any other questions that you're seeing?
No more questions over here.
All right, then I think we are pretty much done. I'm really excited that you guys came and made this with me today.
Everyone is saying thank you very much as well. Oh, they're all very excited for their necklaces and bracelets.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have fun. Stay crafty.